Convo Fango. We are reporting live. It's not live when you see this, but anyway, we are live here in the flesh, not on a Zoom. We are looking at each other in the face, gazing into one another's souls at Fantastic Fest Day 2 to talk about kids versus aliens.
That's right. Kids versus aliens.
Kids versus aliens. Who's your money on? I mean, spoiler, you know how it ends, but I mean, let's say you didn't know. Your money is on the kids or your money on the aliens?
My money's always on the kids.
All right.
And I think, like with any problem, and even with the making of our movie, when we'd have a technical problem we were facing, the kids always had the best idea on how to solve it, so I'll always rely on them.
I always say like kids are like Vanilla Ice. They're like, you got a problem, I'll solve it, and then they fucking do.
They did for us. It was amazing. And I always tried to lean on the kids in the movie for ideas, or we would have our ideas, but the kids always had way cooler ideas than the adults. So
it's because they're not jaded yet.
Yes,
they're like
true.
the coolest, purest form of what it is to be like a human and enjoying life and experiencing life without all the other stuff that comes in and the
totally.
doubts and jading and
I know, yeah. There's nothing I hate more than working with someone who's jaded by the industry, and you got to do something creative with them. I just get so nervous because I just I don't know. I can feed off that kind of energy, or I can just feel that energy, But with kids, for the most part, they're always just so enthusiastic and so. Brings so much imagination, or they're so interested in what's going on and how things are working. I just feed off that kind of energy, and I'm always trying to get back to the childhood and me and my inner child as well. And so anytime I can kind of be around the kids and be just allow myself to just get on their level, that's the funnest place to be, I find.
Well, there's that rule, right? When you make a movie, don't work with kids or pets. But
I've heard that a lot, yeah.
Who's better to work with on a movie than kids? You're literally playing make-believe. Who is better than
I know, exactly, right? That's how I feel, and I'm always that's how my favorite memories of being a kid is playing in the woods with my friends and making up stories, or making movies with my friends in the backyard, those are my favorite memories of my life, basically. And so for us it was we're making a movie about kids and they're making a movie in the movie, but we wanted to feel like kids making a movie with kids, it's big kids and small kids making a movie.
That was the working title of it, and they're we're gonna workshop that when we go with kids versus aliens.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm saying. Big kids and small kids.
Yeah, big kids, small kids. Yeah, big aliens, small aliens. Yeah.
I would watch that movie. I'm I feel represented here. It's
amazing.
So can you tell us a little bit what is it about? I'm guessing it's kids versus aliens, but also expand upon that concept.
Yeah, so it's basically about a brother and a sister, Gary, who's 13, and his older sister Samantha is 16. And in their backyard is the ocean, and a UFO crashes into the ocean, and they're busy making their own home movies in their backyard. And all of a sudden, some teenagers who, as when I was a kid, there was nothing worse than seeing older teenagers, because they would just ruin things or or pick on you. But these teenagers enter the picture and they get between Gary and his sister, making their backyard movies, and they start pressuring the older sister to try and have a giant Halloween party while their parents are gone away, and she's starting to feel the peer pressures from them. And then while this party gets out of the way, it gets crashed by a bigger threat than teenagers, which is aliens. And then the kid, Samantha, the older sister, has to do whatever she can to try and save her younger brother, who gets abducted. So.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay, I'm aliens crashing the party. That sounds cool. I'm wait, do I want aliens to crash my party, or do I not want aliens to crash my party?
The ones in my movie, probably not.
No.
But in real life, it might be actually cool.
Right? If it's E.T. and he's
that'd be freaky.
He just walks around every. Okay.
He looks so scary. If you saw E.T. walking here, we would be freaking the hell out. Yeah, it'd be so scary. Actually, that E.T.'s scarier than the aliens in my movie.
So were you afraid of?
I was.
With E.T.? Were you scared?
Yes, I did. I grew up with E.T. I was scared watching the movie for the first time, and then the end part where. You think E.T. dies is so traumatic. Yeah, he's withered. Oh, when you see him when you see E.T. in the ditch, when he's laid out in a ditch in the river or whatever, and he's all white and bloated, and there's if you look closely, there's like a raccoon like licking his back or something. And then the kid like finds him and like puts a sheet over him. Like that is so terrifying. E.T. in a ditch. It's like
E.T. in a ditch.
Ugh,
scariest
so
alien
creepy.
movie of all time.
Yeah.
E.T. specifically. E.T. in a ditch. That scene.
Yeah.
Man, I need to rewatch it as an adult.
Oh, you haven't?
It's been a bit, and I know it's a classic, and
Yeah.
I try to like it now.
Yeah.
But as a kid, like I know he's nice, but it was just something about it, like you said, it's just fucking creepy. And I guess like I had like an E.T. doll that you can like it speaks, you know, with like a little pull string. My mom put it in front of the Christmas tree because I guess I was like pulled like a fucking cat, pulled the Christmas tree down.
Wow,
She put the E.T. doll in front of it, and I never went near that shit again. So I was like, okay, it's not just me. There's something a little traumatic.
Yeah. It's interesting when you watch it as an adult. Like I watched it like a year ago again. You definitely notice things that just blew past you when you watched it. Like I never noticed that like Elliot's like older brother and all his friends, they want to dress up as terrorists for Halloween.
Oh.
And the mom is like she's like, no, you can't do it. But then in the end of the movie, that's like kind of what they like dress up to like try and like save like E.T.
Okay.
So different time or whatever, but it's like crazy like what is going on here? But it's interesting.
All right, I was gonna say I'm gonna go home and watch that tonight. I'm not watching movies at midnight, watching movies again at 9. But when I go home, I'm gonna rewatch E.T. and I'm gonna call you and be like, Jason, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's fucked.
Do you have any what are some of your influences for this? Not E.T. or maybe E.T.?
Not so much E.T., but a lot of it is inspired by my own childhood, like growing up making movies with my friends and my siblings in my backyard, and there's scenes in the movie that are like really just lifted out of my childhood, where we would play pranks on my sister, but we also had like this great folk legend of a UFO crash that happened in Nova Scotia, the southern point called Shag Harbor, where in 1967 a UFO had crashed into the harbor, and a bunch of fishermen saw it thinking that it was an airplane that went down, and so they raced their fishing boats out there to try and find survivors. But when they got there was no wreckage, no people, but they saw this glow coming from like the depths. And for days later, the military boats like parked their ships like over it and set up like tarps so people on shore couldn't see like what they were like pulling up and whatnot. But back home, like there was lots of like conspiracy theories and legends and documentaries that have been made about it. But that happening like pretty much in my own like backyard as a kid, that like really freaked me out. And I would hear stories from like I had a family member who was in the Navy, and when I was like the age of the kids in this movie, he was telling me stories of what he heard really happened, you know. And he was saying that like divers went down and they saw like alien beings within the craft, and they got scared and came back up, and there's a lot of little great stories. But as a kid, when your imagination is just like running wild, and you're told that is something that happened and it's actual like history, it's like really freaky. At least like it really freaked me out. And then at the same time, at that age, there was trailers for Fire in the Sky coming out, and that said based on a real story or true story. And being as a kid, and you're seeing the TV tell you this guy is getting abducted by aliens, and it actually like happened. Like I was so scared. Like I felt like I had to, like, this is gonna happen to me at some point, and I gotta be ready for it. And so I would just go to the local library and get every book I can on alien abductions and UFOs, and I kept a baseball bat under my bed, and like, you know, I was ready for them. So if they ever try to come for me, like,
ready to be a shit ass alien. Okay, so like kid with baseball bat versus aliens. Like I'm glad that we didn't have to find out how that went, or maybe we did. I don't know. Maybe you're a fucking body snatched alien. I don't know. But never let the bad guy know that you know that they're a bad guy. So I'm sure it's fine. You're not an alien at all. But I'm wondering how you would fare, like, you know, like a 13-year-old kid with a baseball bat against an alien.
Probably not good.
No. Or it's a sweet alien like E.T. and he's like, I just want to be friends. You're like,
oh yeah, I would knock him out. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
Phone home, buddy. Alright, fuck. No, that's scary though, especially because it's like not only are you seeing it on the TV and it's like inspired by a true story, but it's like you have an uncle telling you.
I know,
I'm a man of authority. I was in the military and I'm telling you these military stories. It's like what?
Yeah. So like as a kid, it was like I just felt like that was like a real thing. Like that was like, and then my parents, try to convince me not to be worried or be scared about it. But for years, I was like on edge about it. And so that linked its way into this movie. And so it's like, all the childhood experiences I had, I remember those feelings of being a kid, making movies in my backyard with my friends. But this idea that there could be like this, like almost like a bigger movie idea or threat, just lurking in our backyard,
Yeah, I love that. Those are some of my favorite movies. What are some, like, not necessarily inspirations for this, but do you have favorites like kid horror, kid adventure, kind of like things like Goonies, things like that?
Yeah, like definitely Monster Squad is like an inspiration.
Stephen King rules.
Yeah. When we were making the movie, I had it was like probably halfway through production. Me and my partner, we had a night where we invited all the kids to come over with their parents, and we got pizza, and we watched Monster Squad.
Awesome.
And it was actually like a great time for them to see it because we were getting into all these crazy scenes coming up ahead. And I think they had seen Goonies, but they never heard of Monster Squad or seen it. And once they saw it, and I think even especially for the parents, they saw like the kids were like, they're swearing in Monster Squad and stuff too, and they are in my movie, they're swearing like crazy. And so they could kind of see like what I was going for. Like we were trying to do a more realistic portrayal of what the lawlessness of being a kid and no adults being around, And so that was like definitely like a big inspiration, and Masters of the Universe and She-Ra being like also a really big inspiration as well too. The Masters of the Universe and She-Ra were the first things that me and my sister would like play as kids. And so that has definitely like leaked its way like into this movie. Like I'm trying to create a universe that could be as expansive as like Masters of the Universe, and so there's this movie, but I have more films, in like sequels of this movie that could be in this universe. That's much bigger.
A sequel.
If people like the movie,
people are gonna like the movie. We're getting a sequel.
If they do, that's the hope. Tell Shudder if you like it. Tell them you like it, and so that they'll greenlight another one.
You heard it right here. Tell Shudder.
Come on, tell them Shudder.
Yes, is this Shudder? Yeah, I need more Kids vs. Aliens. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Have you seen it with an audience yet?
No, I haven't.
Not yet. Okay, I get to experience it with you in the room.
Yeah, I haven't watched it really with anyone. I think the most people I've been in the room with watching it with is like one person.
Okay, well, this is going to be more than, 2 people in the room, so that's great.
Can't wait.
All right, Kids vs. Aliens, baby.